Hey everyone, Zsolt here. In today's video, I'd like to show you 18 different Easter eggs, obscure functions, less known features in Excalidraw-Obsidian. So let's explore our treasure map. The first one is how you can create a simple chart from clipboard data. Imagine you have this data set. This is a comma-separated data set. I'm going to copy this with Ctrl-C on the clipboard. If I now press Ctrl-V to paste from the clipboard, Excalidraw will automatically offer me these two types of charts, so I can choose which chart I want to insert. Now it only works with this very simple data set, but still I think this is pretty cool. So moving on, the next set of features is the script library, and in particular how you can pin scripts to the side panel and how you can organize scripts into libraries. So if you're not aware of the script library, if you open the Obsidian panel by clicking here, you will find the top left icon is the script library. If I open this here, you'll find tons and tons of scripts, and some of them do amazing stuff. For example, this repeat element script is simply amazing. If you want the script and you want to install it, then you can click here on this button to install the script, and with that the script is installed. Now installed scripts will appear here under the downloaded category, and you will see all of these scripts here. But you will also notice that, for example, I have the deconstruct selected elements script. I'm going to include a link in the video description. This is a super powerful script. I'm not going to talk about the script itself, but what I want to show you right now is you can see here in the side panel, you can see I have this script pinned. So how do I pin and unpin scripts? It's very simple. If I long press on a script, then it will pin and unpin the script. So you can see I long pressed and the script disappeared, and I can long press again and the script appears here in the sidebar. Now the other thing you will notice is I have scripts categorized. So I have scripts for colors, for lines, for shapes. So I want to show you how to do that. You need to open the Obsidian File Explorer and you need to navigate to Excalidraw, Scripts, Downloaded. Here, if you create a folder, I'm going to now create a new folder called File Linking. If I create a folder, then I can move scripts to that folder. Let me bring this closer so you can see when the magic happens. I can select files. You always need to select script files in pairs. So you need to select the script itself and the SVG file, which is the icon for the script. You need to select the scripts in pairs. You can select multiple files in Obsidian by holding down the Alt or Command button. And when you selected the files you want to move, you can just drag the files. I'm going to drag them into File Linking. And by dragging them here, you can see that immediately here now I have a new category in my tools panel called File Linking, and I have these two scripts in there. So that's about the script library, about pinning and organizing scripts into folders. So moving on, the next feature I want to show you is Text Arch. So this is going to be a script. If I come back here to my Scratchpad, I'm going to create, this is my message on an arch, like this. I'm going to place this text right here. I need to select the text element, and then I need to use the Text Arch script. So you can see this is the icon. It's a circle with some dots in the middle. When I click this, then first I need to set the radius of the arch, and when I accept this, then I need to say whether I want the arch on the top of the arc or on the bottom of the arc. So I'm going to choose below the arc, And with this, you can see that the text elements were placed on this arc. If I would want a different radius, let's say I want to change this to 300, then I can place this above. Then you can see that I get a different arch on a different radius. Now, moving on, there are some additional fill types as well as you can change the shape of elements. I'm going to create this rectangle here and I'm going to add a fill color. I'm going to make the line slightly thicker and I'm going to add just a bit of slopiness to the line. So you can see here I have this fill. Now you can also execute scripts using the command palette. This is great because you can assign hotkeys with Obsidian to these command palette actions. But now I'm going to press Ctrl P, select the change shape of selected elements script. And this script does a number of things. So first of all, I can select if I want a different shape, or I can just press Escape to skip. Right now I'm going to press Escape, and then I can choose from a set of different fill types. For example, I can choose this dashed fill type. Also, I can change the shape like this. So I press Ctrl P, change shape of selected elements, and I can change this into a diamond, for example. And if I want to change the fill type again, I can choose a different fill type, or I can just press Escape, and then I changed my shape into a diamond. Finally, there's a hidden feature that if I press this fill style here, if you hold down the Alt button and you select the first fill style, then you will see that you can get this zigzag type of fill. The next feature or script I want to show you is Scribble Helper. This is targeted to iPad users because this works very well with the Apple Pencil. I'm not going to show you that right now. I'm going to link a video where you can find it. But this also has some additional features that are useful even when you're working on a desktop. So I'm going to click on Scribble Helper. From here on, if I click on an element, I can edit the element, or I can just double tap anywhere and Scribble Helper will come up. This is great because here, of course, I can start and type text. So this is my text. So far, nothing special. But here, I have this additional button, Insert Markdown Link to File. So this way I can insert a link. So for example, I'm going to insert a link to Latch, the hat rack, and you can see the link is right there, and I can continue typing, whatever. I can add new lines, and when I'm done typing, I can also select how I want to insert this piece of text. I can insert it as a text element. I can insert it as a sticky note when it has a border, a background color, and it wraps text. And I can also insert it as a transparent sticky note that will wrap text. So I'm going to select this last option. And with this, I've inserted my note. And if I control hover this, then you see that my drawing on Latch comes up. Now, if I want to edit this, I can double click on this, and again, Scribble Helper will pop up, and I can change my settings right here. I can add some text. If you want to turn Scribble Helper off, then make sure you have no text selected and just click Scribble Helper again, and with that, you've turned Scribble Helper off. The next script is super useful. I use this a lot. So you will find situations when you draw something, but the shape is not closed. So for example, I drew this shape, but I want a background fill for this shape. So this is when the Fill Unclosed Shapes script comes to the rescue. So here I'm going to select my script. So this is here for me under the colors. This is the icon, and it's called Set Background Color of Unclosed Line Objects by adding a shadow clone. So when I select this element here and click on the script, then you can see that this now has a fill color. Of course, I can change the fill color if I want to, and I can change the fill pattern, etc. And the way this works is you can see that a shadow clone with a transparent outline was created. That's a closed shape, and with this I'm able to create a fill color for open shapes, and this is super useful when you're illustrating and you need such feature. The next feature I want to show you is the Select Similar Elements script. Let's come to our Scratchpad and let's play a little. So I'm going to create here another text element. So this is going to be just text. And this time I'm going to change the color of this to red, as well as I'm going to create yet another text element. So this is text 2, and in this case, this is going to have a different font type, and I think for the time being this is sufficient. I need to first select the element that's the basis of my selection, so I'm going to select this text element, and when I click this, you can see I have lots of features here. And for now, I want to select all the elements that have the same stroke color. So now I'm going to select all the elements that are red. And when I run this, then you can see that these two were selected. But I can also select this, select similar elements, and I want to select all the elements that have the same element type. And in this case, this is text. And when I run this, then all the text elements were selected. You can also do multiple selections. So for example, I can select this element right here. I can filter and I can select a text element that is red. This is now going to select those items that are text and red. When is this useful? For example, you have a complex drawing and you have arrows on that drawing and you want to change the color of those arrows, or you want to select them and you want to group them so you can handle them together, then this script is useful. So the next is disable arrow binding. You know, when you're drawing an arrow, if you hold down the control key, then you can disable arrow binding. So I can place my arrow here and it will not bind to anything. If I let go the control button, then you can see that the arrow binds. So this is usually very helpful that it binds, but when you have a complicated picture and you're moving stuff around, then it happens that the arrow binding is something that you don't want. In this case, you can toggle the default binding behavior to invert it. And this means that if I invert the default behavior, then the frame will still show up, but you can see that the binding will not happen. So this way I can unbind items, but if I hold down the control, then the binding happens. So this is very practical, disabling binding. I usually do this on complex drawings when I don't want the arrow to accidentally bind. So moving on, the next one is around how to manage frames. So this is what I call frame magic. You can hide and show frames, and you can enable, disable frame clipping. So what does this mean? You know that we have this feature in Excalidraw. Here you can find the frame tool. So I'm going to add these items to a frame like this, and you can see that the frame has a border. I'm also going to move this object to the side so it doesn't fit the frame. And now I can open the command palette and I can type in frame like this. And you can see here the two frame actions. So Excalidraw toggle frame clipping. If I turn this off, then you can see that that object is still part of the frame, but it's not clipped off in the frame. So you can see the entire object. I can come back and toggle frame clipping again, and then the clipping happens. And similarly, I can toggle the rendering of frames, which means if I click this, the frame is still there. So if you know where to look for the frame, you can find the frame and you can move items together, but the frame is not rendered. The reason I implemented this feature is because sometimes when you stop the slideshow script, the frames remain hidden. So this way you can unhide the frames that were hidden at the end of your slideshow. So moving on to the image references, you need to open the tools panel like this. Here at the top of the tools panel, you will find this icon, copy markdown link for selected element. So now I'm going to select this table here, for example, and I'm going to click here. And now I can copy a link, an area, or a group. I'm going to select this time the area type of link. So when I click this, then I get a message that the link is available on the clipboard. I'm going to open this untitled document and just press Ctrl V, and you can see here that the area was inserted here. So the area also includes this item that's clipped by the frame. So note that these clippings, so let me just toggle clipping, and you can see that what was inserted was this area. I'm going to include a link to a video that walks you through in detail. I just wanted to show you this feature because I think this ability to link to parts of an image is super powerful. So moving on, the next one I want to show you is this normal mode and left-handed mode and tray mode. So here you can see I'm using Excalidraw in what I call tray mode. Tray mode moves the tools panel down here, so you can see that I have my properties panel here and everything else here, and it means that I have my buttons on the right hand side. When I'm in tray mode, then I can select toggle left-handed mode, and what left-handed mode does is it moves this tray to the right hand side, so it's not in your way if you're using your left hand to draw. You can change this back like this, and then the tray moves back to the left hand side. Also, I can switch from tray mode to normal mode. Here you can find the toggle tray mode action, and when I do this, then the buttons appear here on the top, and you can see the menu here. And now this is going to work just like on Excalidraw.com, that the element properties show here always on the left hand side. I created tray mode because I thought that the elements panel took up too much space on the left hand side. Moving on to the next topic, this is about OCR support. So you may not know that Excalidraw has OCR support as well. For this, you need to enable OCR support in plugin settings. So you need to scroll down to experimental features, and here you need to actually enable Taskbone OCR. So you need to click this. The API key will be generated automatically, but you need to read this and understand that the image is sent to a cloud service. It's provided by Taskbone, and you can read their terms and conditions here and their privacy policies. So please familiarize yourself with these conditions. But when you have this turned on, then for example, if you have handwritten text like this, as well as you have images, you can OCR this. So I'm now going to press Ctrl P and type OCR. So this is grab text from free draw Scribble and pictures to clipboard. So when I click this, then I get this message that the text was placed on the clipboard. So here now if I double click and press paste, then you can see that these are some handwritten notes. While Excalidraw is not ideal for handwritten notes, sometimes a few words is helpful. And then you can see here the words from the flip chart as well. Now you see that the text was placed on the clipboard, as well as If now I switch over to Markdown view mode, you can see that the captured script was also added here as taskbone OCR to the front matter. Why is this good? Because this way the text is available for Obsidian to index this file, and from now on I can search for this. So I'm going to just select this to the clipboard. I'm going to open Excalidraw and I'm going to search for this like this, and you can see that my scratchpad was found with the text from the image. So the taskbone OCR is great to capture text from your scribbles as well as from images. The next feature I want to show you is the fourth font. First of all, this is again a feature you need to enable in Excalidraw settings. So you need to open Excalidraw, and here you need to scroll down all the way to the non-excalidraw.com supported features, because the fourth font is something that is not available on excalidraw.com. You need to do the same for custom pens, which I'm going to show you in a second as well. So you can see my setting right here. And once you do this, then you can select font files that are installed in Obsidian. The way you install a font file is you simply drag and drop the file into your file structure. This can be TrueType fonts or WOFF files or even OTFs, which is here not listed at the moment. But when you enable this here, then when you write some text, so for example, I have this text right here, then in the Elements panel, you will see this local font action. And when I click this, then I can use my own local font. This only works in a way that you can set one font, and that's going to be true or used for all of your drawings. So if you're using different local fonts in different drawings, then each time you need to change it in settings, and it's not going to be very practical. So my recommendation is choose a fourth font and stick to it. The original idea was that if you're using a language for which the handwritten fonts in Excalidraw don't exist, then you can add your own special font here. Moving on, we come to custom pens. You need to enable custom pens in the same way. So you need to scroll down to the non-excalidraw.com supported features. And here you can choose the number of custom pens you want. You can have at maximum 10 pens, and they will appear here on the right hand side. You can see all my 10 pens here. If I change this to 8, then you will see that the 2 black pens disappeared. Now these pens have various features. So for example, the highlighter pen will draw in the lowest layer. The fine tip pen is ideal for handwriting. It's slightly better than the built-in pen in Excalidraw. Then I love these pens. So these are the mind map, organic mind map lines. There are 2 types, the thick thin and the thin thick thin line, as well as this marker is pretty interesting. You can play with this if you want. So this is a pen with an outline like this. And if you want to change the settings of these pens, you can double click on the pen and the settings panel will come up. Here you can do lots of settings. I also have some description here that you can read, and hopefully this is going to help you use this feature, but you can customize these pens to a pretty large extent. The next feature is a very special feature, so you can change the color of embedded SVG images and also embedded Excalidraw images. For this to work, you need to insert an icon. So now I'm going to insert image. This is going to be an icon, and for example, I'm going to insert this storytelling storyboard icon. And imagine I want to change the color of this. I want to change this to orange. So how do I do that? First of all, I need to know what color that is. Now, in this case, I know the color, but if I would not know the color, then I can use the color picker. And I can just come over here, click on the color. And with that, the color is selected. And I can double click here to copy this color to the clipboard. Now I'm going to switch over to Markdown view mode. This is a bit more into the technical details of behind the scene Excalidraw, but here in Markdown view mode, I need to scroll down to embedded files and find the icon that I want to change. So this is the icon itself. After the icon, I need to open this curly bracket. Then in quotation marks, I need to write hashtag and the color. And then I can type in my new color, and I'm going to type here orange red like this. So this is now going to change this color to orange red. If I now open the drawing again, then you will see that here this color was changed to orange red. Why is this helpful? This is helpful if you're using icons to link ideas together, and just because some colors need to be different for the purpose of your image, you don't want to duplicate the icon because you're using the icons also to connect similar ideas. I'm going to include in the video description a couple of videos that talk about this connection by way of images. And the reason I implemented this feature was to allow you to do slight modifications on colors. Now, this is more difficult to achieve, so you need to open it in Markdown view mode, you need to know about colors, etc. So I understand that this is not for the large majority of people, but as a hidden, obscure feature, I think this definitely qualifies. And for those of you looking for this feature, you now know that it's available. So moving on to the next topic, there's text with shadow and text aura or text outline. So these are two separate things. Text with shadow is pretty simple. So I'm going to, this is a text element like this. And if I want to add a shadow, then what I do is I make a copy of this text element. I drag with the Alt or Command button held down, and then I'm going to change the color of one of these maybe to light gray, and I'm just going to zoom in so you can see this better. I'm going to position one over the other, and with this I created this nice shadow effect. Now similarly, you can also add a text aura. This is more similar to the text arch script. So I'm going to just type in aura. This is a downloaded script again. So I downloaded this from the script library. And when I click on this, then automatically the complementer color for the selected color is going to be created here as a text aura. Now, if instead of the complementer color, you want a different color, so for example, I want a text aura that's black, then what I need to do is I need to put the black color, in this case the black, but of course, if I would want something else, maybe this dark gray, then I need to copy the dark gray color to the clipboard. And if I have a color on the clipboard, and then run the aura script like this, then that color that's on the clipboard is going to be used to create this text aura effect. This is super useful when you want to place a text element on an otherwise busy picture, because this way you can have a highlight color and that will make your text stand out much better. Again, moving on to the next topic, export to PNG or SVG with an embedded scene. So this is again super interesting. What you can do is, if you have this image, and maybe I'm going to delete some of this image so it's a bit simpler like this, then I can export this as an image. I'm going to click here to export image, and I can do all my different settings in terms of exporting the image. But here under export settings, I can select to embed scene. So I'm going to click here on embed scene, and I need to select here that I want to export the image outside my vault like this, and I click on PNG to file, and I can just simply save my file right here. I'm going to replace my earlier Scratchpad export. Now if I just open excalidraw.com, I can drag and drop my downloaded file. So I'm going to drag and drop the file in here, and the file is going to be inserted as separate elements, so I can still edit it. This also works dragging and dropping it to Excalidraw and Obsidian, but at the same time this is also an image file that the image navigator in your operating system will open. So this is a very useful feature if you want to share images with others, such that it's an Excalidraw drawing and the picture of the Excalidraw drawing for use by others. The next one is super useful if you want to keep your Obsidian vault clean. Often it happens that you bring an image in, but you don't want to use that image on the long term. So imagine I have this drawing right here, so I'm going to just ungroup this. Of course, I can just simply press delete, but if I do that, then this image is still going to be in my vault, but it's going to be there as clutter. Instead, I can also choose delete selected image or markdown file from Obsidian Vault. I'm not going to press this because I actually don't want to delete this picture, but if I select this, then the image is removed from Excalidraw, but also deleted from the Obsidian Vault. So if you're placing stuff onto a canvas and then you decide you don't need some of them, then the best way to get rid of them such that it doesn't leave a clutter in your vault is by using this feature. And that concludes the 18 Easter eggs, obscure functions. That concludes our treasure hunt, treasure map for Excalidraw. I hope you found some useful features that you weren't aware of until now. There are plenty more, but I thought already 18 makes a very long video, so I'm going to stop here. Maybe do future videos on future hidden or special features. Thank you.